within the 9 conditions, not at the beginning of the 29 connect at the very beginning. Thiếu cái tên là bạn nghe thì ký chuyện chọn giao tiếp. On this list, this list is correct. Last week we studied the 5 sense thought processes. So we studied the first 3 of the I-door thought process. And the first is called a deep mahanda. So it's very great object. Great means it is so strong that it can cause the bhavanga to vibrate only after one past bhavanga. There are some objects that are not so strong as that. So them it will take 2 or 3 past bhavangas before they can cause bhavanga to vibrate. So these 2 are called Mahanda, great. And there are 2 thought processes of Mahanda, variety. And in the first one, there is bhavanga after 7th jhana. And the second of the Mahanda, no bhavanga after jhana in the thought process. Now, the object of these thought processes is the present visible object. So, the lifespan of the present visible object is 17 thought moments. So, a thought process consists of 17 thought moments. So, if you look at the first Mahanda thought process, there is 1 moment left after jhana. But the dharamana, registering, cannot arise there, because it is said in the books that the dharamanas arise always twice or none at all. So if there is only one thought moment left, then the dharamana will not arise. Since the dharamana cannot arise, there is bhavanga. So this bhavanga is included in the thought process. The second, there is no thought moment left after the jhanas, so there is no problem. So with the one, there is a question that if the dharamanas must arise twice, why not let the dharamana arise twice in the first Mahanda thought process? Right? So in that case, one dharamana will be within the thought process and the other will be outside of thought process. But that is not possible, because in one thought process, except Magga thought process, all the objects must be the same. So if we allow the dharamana to arise there, first the dharamana would take the present object as object, and second the dharamana would take the past object as object. So there is different objects. That is why tadharamana or registering cannot arise there, although there is one thought moment left. So today we go to the other slight and very slight. So the object of these 6 thought processes is weaker than the one for the Mahanda. So it is so weak that it needs 4 first bhavangas before it could vibrate the bhavanga. So when there are 4 first bhavangas, then we go there until we come to 17. There are how many thought moments? I mean, how many bhavangas? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 bhavangas. And before 4 bhavangas, there are 3 moments of Vattabhana. So in the manual, it is said that Vattabhana may arise twice or 3 times. So here we take Vattabhana to arise 3 times. So after Vattabhana, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 moments left to make 17 thought moments. So they are filled in with bhavanga moments. So there are 4 bhavanga moments before the object of that that thought process disappears. And still there are there is some room, so we can have the slide number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So Parita number 2 has how many past bhavangas? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 past bhavangas. Since there are 5 past bhavangas, there are only 3 bhavangas left at the end. And then number 3, 6 past bhavangas, and only 2 bhavangas at the end. And then number 4, 7 past bhavangas, and only 1 bhavanga at the end. And then number 5, how many? 8 past bhavangas. And so there is no bhavanga at the end. Just 3 moments of Vattabhana. And then number 6. So number 6 has 9 past bhavangas and only 2 Vattabhana. So with the second Vattabhana, the object disappears. So we can have 6 kinds of Parita thought process. The object of this Parita thought process is actually weak. It's not so strong. Only Vattabhana can arise here, no Javana. Still, there is a weaker object than the object of Parita thought processes. And so the other, these thought processes are called ati. Ati means very. So ati Parita, very slight. Sometimes we think that we hear something or we see something and then we lost it. So it's something like that. It's very, very weak. Actually, there is no witty thought moments in these thought processes. The number 1 of Atiparita has 10 past bhavangas. And then there are only 2 vibrations. And then bhavanga again. Since there is no stopping of bhavanga, we do not call the second one upachita or arrest bhavanga, because bhavanga does not stop there, it goes on. So we have just 2 bhavanga chalanas. And then 5 ordinary bhavanga moments. So in this thought process, there is just a little bit of vibration of bhavanga, and then back to bhavanga again. So sometimes you may be sleeping or you may be dozing, and then you hear something not quite clearly, and then you go back to bhavanga, like that. So the object of these thought processes are very, very weak. Then the second one has 11 past bhavangas, and then at the end 4 bhavanga moments. So no vatavana here, just vibration bhavangas. So number 3 has 12 past bhavangas, and then 3 bhavangas at the end. Number 4 has 13 past bhavangas and only 2 bhavangas at the end. Number 5 has 14 and then only 2 vibrating bhavangas and then 1 bhavanga. And number 6, 15 past bhavangas and then just 2 vibrating bhavangas, and then it lets into bhavanga again. So actually there is no viti cetas in these thought processes. Viti ceta means panchadvara, vachana, chakku, vijnana, and so on. So just the vibration of bhavangas. Now 15 thought processes are for eye consciousness or for seeing. So for hearing, etc. also we can have 15 each. So there are altogether, in the 5 sense thought process, there are altogether 17 thought processes. Now these thought processes are also called the first one is called the Dharamana. The Dharamana course. That means the course of thought process ending with the Dharamana. And the 2 Mahanta thought processes are called Javana course, because they end with Javana. And then the next six, the Parita are called, what do they end with? Vatavana. So they are called Vatavana course. And then the Adiparita 6, how are they called? Zero cause, right? It is called Mogavara. So it is translated as futile cause. We may just call zero cause, because there are no viticetas at all in these 6 thought processes. So all the types of consciousness arising in these thought processes are among which cetas? 54 kama vachara cetas. So there are no rupa vachara cetas, arupa vachara cetas, or lokottara cetas in these thought processes. That is why they are called kama vachara thought processes. So kama vachara thought processes have 2 divisions. One is 5 sense door and the other is mind door, right? Now, I think we can think of some simile for Atita Bhavangas, and so many Atita Bhavangas. Suppose the person is asleep, and then you hit the door. So when you hit strongly, he will wake up, or his sleep will be disturbed only just after 1 hit. Then your hit is not so strong. Then you have to hit 2 times. Then it's not so strong, 3 times, 4 times, and so on until 15 times. So like that. The object is, when the object is strong, whether it is small or big, it doesn't matter. But when the impact of object is strong, then it needs only one past bhavanga. And it is not so strong, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And the object of the atibreda are very, very weak. So there are almost no objects at all. They are able just to make the bhavanga vibrate and then go back to bhavanga again. So they are called mogavara. So zero cause. In these cetas, the thought processes, especially the first one, there are how many viti cetas? We have already gone through that. Yeah? 7 viti cetas. That means Panchadvara Vajana, right? Chakku Vijnana, Sampadicana, Santirana, Pottavana, Javana, Tadaramana. How many arisings of ceta? That means individual ceta. 14. Altogether, for 5 sense thought processes, we get 54 karma vajra ceta. And I hope you remember how to apply your knowledge of what to base, dwara, and aramana to this, right? Now we go to mind or thought process. Now mind or thought process, in the manual is very simple, but teachers have some more to add to this mind or thought process. And one teacher may say one thing, and another teacher may say another thing, and so we have difference of opinions and different kinds of thought processes. This handout, I give you just the opinion of one teacher, or the opinion of teachers in general. But first, let us go to the manual. So the mind or thought process. Now when mind or thought process arises, it does not need the 5 sense doors, right? So an object may strike at the mind, at the bhavanga. And mostly the object of these mind or thought processes are past objects, future objects, and then timeless objects like concepts and nibbana. But present objects are also the object of mind or thought processes. And since they arise only through mind door and not through any of the 5 sense doors, they are called Suddha Manodvara Viti, pure mind door processes. You remember that with regard to the 5 sense door thought processes, actually the object strikes at both doors, 2 doors, eye door and mind door, or ear door and mind door, and so on. But in the mind or thought processes, it is only through mind or through bhavanga that these thought processes arise. And there are different ways of objects entering or striking at the mind door, and they are given in the manual on page 164. How the objects present themselves to the mind door. So the paragraph with number 2. The independent mind thought processes occurs when any of the 6 objects enters the range of cognition entirely on its own, not as a consequence of an immediately preceding sense door process. Now, we will, after the mind thought process in the manual, we will also study the mind thought processes that are called in Pali Tadanu Vattaka. Following thought processes or something like that. Those that follow the 5 sense door thought process. Now here we are studying just the independent mind or thought processes. So the question may be raised how an object can enter the range of mind door independently of a proximate sensory impingement. So there is no sensory impingement, but through mind, objects can arise, or objects can present themselves to the mind without the help of 5 senses. And Lannie cites various sources. Actually, these are from Attasalini and Mula Tika, the Tika of Attasalini. So it is said that through what has directly perceived earlier, that means you have experienced something before. Later on, when you call that experience to your mind, that object appears to your mind. Say you saw something yesterday. Now you can recall it and you may see it in your mind. So that first object presents itself to your mind. And that is because of your mental power. Now there are two presentations, 2 different presentations. The 5 senses, the object of 5 senses strikes at the mind door and the sense doors, right? So in the 5 sense doors, it is the power of the objects that makes bhavanga vibrates, and then the other thought moments arise. But here, it is the power of your mind that brings those objects to your mind. So it is not the power, not through the strength of objects, but through the power of your mind, that these objects, mostly past objects, but more past or present or future, these objects appear or enter your mind. So through what was directly perceived earlier, that means through what you have experienced through 5 senses before, or by inference from what was directly perceived, that means you have seen something and you infer something from what you have seen, what you have heard, and so on. And in that way also the object can appear into your mind, or object can enter your mind, the range of cognition. Then through what was learned by oral report, that means through hearsay. You do not see, you do not experience it yourself, but you heard someone say about it, and then you think of it, and then you have that object in your mind. Or by inference from what was learned by oral report. So that is by inference. On account of belief, sometimes you believe in something and you think of it, and then that object enters your mind. Sometimes on account of your opinion, you have some kind of opinion, and so that appears to your mind. Sometimes there's a reasoning. So you don't just think about it, but you weigh it in your mind, and you have reason for this and that, and then you come to the conclusion. And in that way, that object can enter your mind. Or reflective acceptance of a view. That means you accept some view after reflecting upon it. And when you have accepted that view appears to your mind. By the power of karma, sometimes, like the karma object appearing to your mind when when you are dying. So that is by the power of karma that object is presented to your mind. And then by psychic power. So if you have psychic power or vinyas and others, then these objects, you can take those objects with your mind. And disturbance of the bodily humors, sometimes because your body is not in good health, and bodily humor means something in the body like phlegm, wind, and bile. So they are called bodily humors. So in Indian medicine, these three are very important, and they are called dosas, 3 dosas of the body. Dosa means not anger. 3 dosas means 3 forms, say 3 faulty things in the body. They should be balanced. If they are not balanced, you have a kind of disease. If you have too much phlegm, maybe you have some kind of disease. Too much wind, another kind of disease. And then too much or too little bile, you may have another kind of disease. So these are called bodily humors. Sometimes they are imbalanced, and because of the imbalance of the bodily humors, you may some objects may enter your mind. Sometimes you have bad dream, right? Because it's too cold for you, or it's too hot for you, or you are too much constipated or something like that. And then the influence of a deity. Sometimes a deity can cause you to have dreams or to have visions or something like that. And they all come through mind door. And then comprehension, realization, etc. Comprehension means not directly seeing it. For example, we have studied and we know that there are 4 noble truths. And that is Nibbana, right? So until we realize Nibbana by Magga Citta, we know Nibbana not directly. So now we think of Nibbana, and we can Nibbana as object. And that Nibbana is presented to us through mind door. Or at the moment of Kotrabu, we'll come to that later, then Kotrabu can take Nibbana as object. But that is also it is direct saying it is not yet realization. So realization comes with the moment of Magga or path. So all these objects are understood through the mind or these objects enter the range of cognition through the mind door. So through the mind door, many kinds of objects can be presented, both past, present, future, and also time-free, the concepts and Nibbana. And in mind or thought processes, the objects are divided into only 2. One is what? We Buddha, and the other are we Buddha. Clear, we Buddha means clear, and are we Buddha means unclear. So there are only 2 kinds of objects for mind or thought processes: clear objects and unclear or obscure objects. Since it is presented through mind door, we do not need Panchadwara Vajana in these thought processes, because it is through mind door. Now, first, please look at the diagram of thought process on page 166. That is a very simple one. So we need to understand the simple one first. So the first is for clear object or Vibhuta object. And the second is for obscure object, Avibhuta object. Now there, the first is Bhavanga. And then what? Vibrating Bhavanga. And then A means arrested Bhavanga. M, Manodvara Vajana. And then 7, Javana. And then 2, registration. And then Bhavanga again. So here, we need not worry about the past Bhavanga, and we need not worry about there to be 17 thought moments, because mostly the objects of these mind or thought processes are past or future or time free. So that is why there is no Atita Bhavanga here, past Bhavanga here. So according to this manual, the mind or thought process runs like this: vibrating Bhavanga, and then arrested Bhavanga, and then Manodvara Vajana, and then Javana, and then 2 Dadaramanas, right? And for obscure object, still we do not need Atita Bhavanga here. So there we have vibrating Bhavanga, arrested Bhavanga, Manodvara Vajana, 7 Javanas, that's all. And then Bhavanga again. Because later on we will see that registration can arise only with regard to clear objects. So with regard to obscure objects, there is no Dadaramana. So in the thought process for obscure objects, there is no Dadaramana. Just the Javana, 7 Javana, and then Bhavanga again. So it is a very simple mind or thought process. One for clear object and the other for obscure object. Now, as I said before, teachers have different opinions about that. So they argue that, what if the object is present? Since it is present object, we can have 17 thought moments for it. And since it is a present object and lasts for 17 thought moments, there should be a Atita Bhavanga, even in mind or thought process. So according to those teachers, we have this chart, right? Vibhuta 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Avibhuta 1, 2. If it is too complicated, just forget about it. It's okay, so long as you are familiar with the two described in the manual itself and the diagram on page 166. So according to these teachers, there are different kinds of objects, especially objects that have the duration of 17 thought moments, and objects that do not have that duration. So for those that have the duration of 17 thought moments, then we need a Atita Bhavanga. So here, first Bhavanga, and then 2 vibrating Bhavangas, vibrating Bhavanga and arrest Bhavanga, and then Manodvara Vajana, right? And then 7 Javanas, 2 Dadaramanas, and 1, 2, 3, 4 Bhavangas. And for the second one, we add one more, past Bhavanga. For the third one more. For the fourth one more. For the fifth one, also one more, until we get to the second Dadaramana, number 17. And then Avibhuta, obscure objects. So here also, if the obscure object is the Rupa object, which has 17 thought moments of lifespan, then we have 6 Atita Bhavangas, and then vibrating bhavanga, arrested bhavanga, and then manodhara vajana and javanas and bhavanga. For the second one, we need one more atita bhavanga. And then the others are the same, and it ends with the seventh javana. So these objects whose lifespan is 17 thought movements are material properties other than two intimations and four characteristics. Now, it is said that two intimations arise and perish with Chaita. So they do not last for 17 thought movements. And four characteristics are just the different aspects or different moments of one rupa. So they do not last for 17 thought moments. And if you do not know what are the four characteristics, you don't understand this. In order to understand this, you have to be familiar with 28 material properties. So among the 28 material properties, there are two that are called intimations, bodily intimation and verbal intimation. Now, this is bodily intimation, right? I'm doing something like this, so I'm calling you to come here, right? You understand that I want you to come. So that is bodily intimation. Not the movement itself, but something, some mode of movement in my hand. So that is the bodily intimation. Verbal intimation means my speaking. You understand what I'm talking, right? So that is through verbal intimation. So it is said that these two intimations last for only one moment, not 17 thought moments. So they are excluded from the objects here for these thought processes. And four characteristics are also like anicca, dukkha, and anatta. The arising and then continuation and disappearing. So they do not last for 17 moments. They last for some last for one moment, and the others last for 49 sub moments and so on. So they are not included here. And then if the object is mixed, the present, past, future, and timeless objects, then there are two thought processes, vibhuta and avibhuta. Now here, for vibhuta, the objects can be past, present, and future, and they are 54 kamavajra chaitas, 52 chaitasikas, now two intimations and four characteristics. If they are past and future, then they are the other rupas. And for avibhuta, obscure, they can be past, present, and future, and they are all chaitas, all chaitasikas, two intimations and four characteristics. And if they are past and future, other rupas, 22 rupas, and time-free nibbana and panyati. So these are the thought processes added by the teachers in Burma. And there are many other thought processes also. So if you can think of one thought process, then you can say, oh, we should add this, or we should add that. In the manual and also in Legislator's book, there are many more minor thought processes. Now, we will go to consequent thought processes. Thought processes that follow the five sense door thought process. They are not shown, not mentioned in the manual, but in Burma, our teachers have this opinion that five sense door process alone is not enough for us to say, I see a rose, say, I see a book, I see a man. In order to be able to say, I see a rose, I see a man, we need more types of thought processes. So when we say, I see a rose, then when the rose comes into the avenue of the eye, there is one thought process, the first one, right? Let's say it is a very great object. So we have one thought process. And number one, the first one, Aido Adimahanda, right? So this thought process. Now this thought process arises and then disappears. But at the end of this thought process, we have not seen the rose yet. We have seen just the visible object. We do not know that it is a rose at that moment. We know just that it is a visible object. Then after that, one mind or thought process, one kind of mind or thought process arises, taking the first object as object. Now, the lifespan of the object of this first thought process is 17 thought moments, right? So after 17 thought moments, that disappears. So actually the rose disappears. Although you may be seeing the rose, you may continue to seeing the rose, but actually the rose you have seen with the first thought process has disappeared. So when it has disappeared, there is another thought process which is through mind door, and that thought process takes that first object as object. It is like bringing that to your mind. So that one thought process arises. That is one kind of thought process. Such thought processes many such thought processes may arise. Not just one, but one kind. So that is called taking the past. The process taking the past as object. And then another type of thought process that arises after that is called a process taking the whole, taking all. Now, when you see a man, let's say you see first the head. Actually, you don't see the head at once. You see the visible objects of the material particles little by little. So there is one thought process, seeing thought process, and then the thought process taking the past as object. So they go on, they arise, these two arise, say, many times until, say, you have seen the whole man. And not you have seen the whole man, you have gone through the particles, material particles in the whole man. So with the third thought process, you take all the visible objects as object. So the first thought process takes one or a small amount of visible object as object. And the second thought process takes the past, right? Now, the third kind of thought process takes these, the visible objects, all visible objects in a man. Although it is whole, it is called in Pali Sambuha or group, it is still ultimate reality. It has not passed into the realm of concept yet. So the object of the thought process taking the past and the object of thought process taking all or taking the whole is still ultimate reality, still Paramattha. Now follows another thought process which takes man as object, the substance, the person, man as object. Now when that object arises, you have gone into the realm of Panyati. Now it becomes a concept. So with that type of thought process, he thinks he sees a man. But still, the word man does not yet come to his mind. He sees this, a group of material properties in the shape of a man. Another thought process follows. And with that thought process, the name man appears to his mind. So that is called taking name. So there are 4 thought processes following the seeing thought process. So altogether, we need 5 kinds of thought processes in order to say, I see a rose, I see a man. And these thought processes may arise again and again, millions of times. So what are the following 4 thought processes? The following 4 thought processes. Number 1, taking the past, right? Number 2, taking the whole. Number 3, taking the, let's say, thing. We say thing concept and name concept, right? So taking the thing, taking the substance, taking the person if it is a man. And number 4, taking the name. So only after these 4 thought processes can you say, I see a rose, I see a man. So we have been seeing things every day, every moment, and we think it's a very simple experience that we see or we hear something. But if we apply our knowledge of Abhidhamma to just seeing, it becomes very complex. And you can explain many things here, right? How they arise, through what sense door they arise, and what types of consciousness they represent, what functions each type of consciousness performs, and what object they take, and so on. So it's very, very complex. So with regard to seeing, smelling, tasting, and touching, we need these 4 subsequent thought processes. So altogether 5, in this order. First, and then whole, thing, name, right? The name, the thought process taking name concept will arise only when you know the name of it. If you don't know the name of it, that thought process will not arise. Sometimes we see a thing but we don't know its name, right? Nowadays, they produce thousands and thousands of things. You go into a store and you see thousands of things there. You do not know the names of all these things. So if you don't know the name of a thing, although you see it, that the taking name thought process, taking name cannot arise. Okay, what about when you hear? You hear my voice. You hear words. Words mean sounds. Still we need these 4 thought processes, but the order is a little different. You hear my voice, let's say 1 syllable. You hear the word man, 1 syllable. So first you take the present sound as object. So that is 1 thought process. Instead of Chakku Vijnana, there will be Soda Vijnana, right? 1 thought process. And then the sound disappears very quickly. So you recollect that sound with the 2nd thought process. Then can there be the 3rd process taking all? There's only 1 sound. So no taking all thought process, right? Then next is the thought process taking the name. So here name comes first. Only after that you come to the thing. So that is the difference between the other thought processes and hearing thought process. In hearing thought process, say first, let's say all, and then name, and then thing. But if there is only one syllable, there will be no thought process taking all. If there are two syllables, then we have to have these the thought processes taking all. If there are three, then one more thought process. If there are four, like meditation, and there is one more thought process, and so on. Now, so when you hear something, that means the words uttered by some person. The first you hear the sound with viññāna, thought process, hearing thought process, and then you take the first sound as an object with manodvara thought process taking that first sound as object. Let's say there are two syllables. And next, you take the two syllables together. Then the fourth. The fourth is the name concept comes to you. When I say a man, the name or the word, the name, the noun man comes to your mind. Only after that, you know the man, the person, the thing. So here, the thing, the thought process taking thing concept comes last. And here also, if you do not know the meaning of that sound, the last thought process will not arise. There are many English words we don't know, right? So when we hear those words, we are blank. We don't know the meaning, right? So in that case, there is no thought process taking namapan, right? Yeah. Attapanyati as object. We have no that last thought process. That's why we do not understand. So, in order to understand what other person says, we need two conditions. First, we must hear it, or it must come into contact with our ear, right? We must hear it. And then, we must have known the meaning of it before. Only then do we understand what other people say. Sometimes American people talk and we don't understand. Sometimes they talk too fast. Or our knowledge of English is not so perfect. So we don't hear distinctly. And we don't understand. Right? So, in order to understand, we must first hear the word clearly. And then we must have known the meaning of the word before. Only then do we understand. But, if we are very familiar with the language, like our own language, although we do not hear the words, sounds distinctly, we can fill in those sounds. Because we are so familiar with our language, right? So when we talk to among ourselves, say Vietnamese with Vietnamese people, Burmese with Burmese people, they don't pronounce the word clearly. Sometimes they blur, right? But you understand. But if you talk in this way to another a person of another race, they don't understand. They may say, "Oh, please say it slowly or distinctly," or something like that. Sometimes we say to American people, "Please say it again." Or I don't hear what you said, something like that. So, in order to understand, we need two conditions. First, we must hear it clearly, And then we must have known the meaning of it before. Only then do we understand. Now with the language that are very familiar, then we may be able to fill in the undistinct sound, because we know what that person says. So there are at least these 4 thought processes, 4 mind or thought processes following the one of the 5 sense door thought process. And only after these 5 thought processes do we really experience the object, do we really see, or do we really hear and understand. And those are all, the 4 subsequent thought processes are all through mind door. So they are called mind door thought processes. Mind door, subsequent mind door thought processes. And those are not mentioned in the manual. No, I mean manual means the original manual. But here in this Bhikkhu Bodhi's book, they are mentioned, and there are many, there are more, or there are different things than I have explained to you now. What I have explained to you is the opinion of, general opinion of all teachers. But what he gave in this book is mostly those of Lady Seattle. So Lady Seattle was very learned and very intelligent, and so he put some more things, some more mind or thought processes, like determining, some others, right? Yeah, recognition of color, vanas and lakkhana, and then grasping the entity, what to gahika, and so on. They are interesting, but if you don't, it's too much for you, you can just leave them alone. So, this way, and then we come to the end of the Kama Vajjara Manodvara thought process. In this Kama Vajjara Manodvara thought process, there are only 3 Viti Chetas and 10 arising of Chetas, right? On page 166, section 13 summary. 3 modes and 10 different states. That means 3 Viti Chetas and 10 arising of Chetas. What are the 3 Viti Chetas? Manodvara Vajana, Javana, Tadaramana. And what are the 10 individual ones? Manodvara Vajana, 7 Javanas, 2 Tadaramanas. So when we say how many Viti Chetas are there, we say 3, right? How many individual Chetas are there? We say 10. Now we come to the Appana thought process. There are different kinds of Appana thought processes. Now first, the meaning of the word Appana. Primarily, the word Appana is synonym for Vitakka. What is the function of Vitakka? Put the object onto the, to put the object onto the Cheta, right? That has the same meaning. See, applying the Cheta onto the object. So the Appana is a synonym for Vitakka. And in these Appana thought processes, it is not ordinary Vitakka, but it is highly developed vitakka, so that it has a power to keep the mind firmly on the object. So, Appana is the name of vitakka. First jhana is also called Appana, because it is with vitakka, which is Appana. Sometimes, if something is with some other thing, you can call it by that one thing only. So, first, primarily, Appana means vitakka. By extension, Appana means first jhana, because first jhana is accompanied by vitakka, which is Appana, right? And then by extension, a further extension, all jhanas, maggas and phalas can be called Appana, because they resemble the first jhana in being able to inhibit the mental hindrances. So, it boils down to this. Appana means here jhana, magga, phala. When we say Appana thought process, it may be jhana thought process, or it may be magga thought process, or it may be even phala samapatti thought process, or nirodha samapatti thought process. So in the Appana thought process, there is no distinction between vibhuta and avibhuta. That means there is no division of objects into clear and obscure, because Appana means jhana and magga, right? If you do not have the sign of kasina clearly in your mind, you cannot get jhana. So that means the object is always clear. So there is no division into clear and unclear. It must always be clear object. It must always be vibhuta object. And also, in the Appana thought processes, there is no arising of the dharamana. Later on, we will see that the dharamana can arise only with regard to kamavajara objects, only true kamavajara being, only in kamavajara realm. If the object is not kamavajara object, the dharamana cannot arise. However clear the object is, so there will be no the dharamana in the Appana thought processes. Since Appana thought process is a mind-door thought process, we do not need to bother about 17 thought moments. And we will not have Panchadvara Vajana, right? Instead of Panchadvara Vajana, we will have Manodvara Vajana. Okay. So the thought process runs like vibrations. I mean, one vibration, one arrest bhavanga, and then Manodvara Vajana, mind or adverting. And after that, there are 4 moments of Kamavajra Javana. Kamavajra Javana means Kusala and Kriya, right? So 4 moments of Kamavajra Javana, followed by, accompanied by knowledge. Because if it is not accompanied by knowledge, you cannot get jhana and magga, right? So they must be jnana sampayutta, accompanied by knowledge. And 4 from Kamavajra Kusala and 4 from Kamavajra Kriya. So there can be 8. So from among these, let's say it is for non. So if it is for non-arahant, then 4 Kamavajra Kusala accompanied by knowledge, right? So one of these 4 will arise 4 times in this thought process. The first one will be called Parikama, preliminary, and the second one will be called Upajara, neighborhood or access, and the third one will be called Anuloma, conformity or something, and then the fourth one will be called Gotra Bhu. So these 4 are actually Kamavajra Javanas. One of the 4 Kamavajra Javanas accompanied, one of the 8 Kamavajra Javanas accompanied by knowledge, accompanied by Panya. So for those who are not Arahants, then 4 Kamavajra Kusalas, and for those who are Arahants, 4 Kamavajra Kiriya. Okay. So Kamavajra Javanas run for 4 times, and then after that there is Jhana, and then Bhavanga follows. So the Jhana is the end of that thought process. That Jhana can be how many chetas? 18. 18. Jhana Kusala.
Kusala.
If it is non-Arahant?
9.
9, right? If it is Arahant? 9 again. Yeah. This is the thought process of the first attainment. At the first attainment, jhana arises only once, and then it subsides into bhavanga. Now it goes like this. A person practices samatha meditation, right? Let's say he practices kasina meditation. So he looks at the kasina, and then he memorizes his kasina, and so he got the image of kasina in his mind. First, it is called grasped sign, and then he contemplates on that sign again and again, and it becomes refined, bright and clear, and so at that time it is called counterpart sign. The counterpart sign of kasina. So he contemplates on that counterpart sign as earth, something like that. So when he is doing that, dwelling on the counterpart sign, then there are thought processes, mind or thought processes running in his mind, right? And those thought processes taking that sign of kasina as object. And then a time will come when he gets jhana. So when he gets jhana, there is one thought process, the thought process on the sheet. So that thought process arises when he gets that jhana for the first time. Suppose a person has not yet attained any of the jhanas, a complete beginner. So he practices meditation and he gets the first jhana. So at the first attainment of that jhana, the thought process runs like this: vibrating bhavanga, arrested bhavanga, manodvara vajana, and then parikama, upachara, anuloma, gotrabu. You have to memorize these names. You can take English translation from the book. So parikama, upachara, anuloma, gotrabu. And then after gotrabu, jhana arises only once. and then it subsides into bhavanga. Okay, so that is the first at the first attainment. So among the 4 jhavanas, the first one is called what? Parikamma, preliminary or preparation. It is just to give different names to these 4. That's why there are 4 names. In the commentaries, the first 3 are sometimes called by any of the 3 names. The first one may be called Parikamma or Upachara or Anuloma. So there is confusion. But here in the manual, they are given just 1 name each, and so I think that's better for us. Later on, you will understand. Okay, so these 4, the first one of these 4 is Parikamma, preparation. It prepares the mental continuum for the attainment, which is to follow. And then the next one is called Upachara. Upachara means neighborhood, near. It is here translated as access. And the third one is called Anuloma. Anuloma means conformity. It conforms to both preceding and succeeding chetas. So it is compatible with both preceding and succeeding chetas. And preceding here means not only in this thought process, but in the thought processes that has arisen before. When you are practicing for jhana, you have many thought processes taking the sign of kasina as object, right? So preceding chetas mean not only in this thought process, but in the former thought processes as well. And it is called conformity. And the 4th one is called Gotra Bhu. Now, Gotra Bhu. Gotra means lineage. And Bhu has 2 meanings. One is to overcome, and the other is to reach into. So it is made to mean 2 things. It is made to have 2 meanings here. Now, when a person attains jhana, the jhana consciousness belongs to Mahagata, right? Mahagata lineage, we can say. And Parikamma, Upachara, Anuloma and Gotrabhu belong to Kama Vajara. So when it reaches Gotrabhu, it is like overpowering the Kama Vajra lineage, and it reaches into the Mahagata lineage. So this one cheta is said to have 2 meanings: overcoming Kama Vajra lineage and reaching into Mahagata lineage. So it is called Gotra Bhu here. In the Magga thought process also we will find these 4. So there, Gotrabhu should be explained as overcoming Puthojana lineage, reaching into noble, Riya lineage, right? If it is a Magga thought process. So if it is a Magga thought process, until Gotrabhu, he is a Puthojana. Then, beginning with Magga moment, he is an Ariya, a noble person, right? So it is like a transition here. So in that case, it is called Gotrabhu because it overpowers Puthojana lineage and it reaches into Ariya, noble lineage. So here, it overpowers Kama Vajra lineage and reaches into Mahagata. Right. this is the thought process of first attainment of jhana. Now, there are two kinds of persons here. A person of average faculty and a person of keen faculty. That means a person of not so bright and very bright. Because even of average faculty, he gets jhana, so he is actually a bright one, right? But comparing with the other one, he is not so bright. So for the first kind of person, there needs to be 4 kama vajra javanas. So parikama, upachara, anuloma, kotra. But for the person who has keen faculty, who is very bright, he needs only 3 kama vajra javanas. So the first one is dropped. No parikama. Upachara, anuloma, and kotra. Only 3 moments here. With regard to jhana, there is no adjustments. You just drop the parikama. But with magga thought process, we'll see what we will do. So there are 2 kinds of persons: of average faculty and of keen faculty. So for average faculty, there are 4 moments of kama vajra javanas. But for those of keen faculty, there are 3 moments of kama vajra javanas. So the first one is dropped. So there are only upachara, anuloma, and kotra. And then if it is jhana thought process, jhana, 1 moment of jhana follows, and then lets into bhavanga. Now, in the manual, about the middle of the page 167, the translation of the passage, in the translation of the passage, say, any one of the javanas among the 26 types of sublime or supramundane javanas enters upon the process of absorption. That is, if you take javana as just appana javana, then there are 26. In accordance with the way the mind is conveyed, what does that mean? If you direct your mind towards attaining jhana, there will be jhana thought moments. If you direct your mind to attaining nibbana and practice vipassana meditation, then the appana javana will be magga phala. So in accordance with the way the mind is conveyed means in accordance with how you direct your mind. Sometimes you want to attain jhana, so you direct your mind to attaining jhana and practice with samatha meditation. Sometimes you want to attain nibbana, so in order to achieve that, you practice vipassana meditation, direct your mind towards attainment of nibbana. And so in that case, and if you are successful, the appana javana will be magga phala. So the 26 sublime or 26 mahagata and lokuttara javanas arise according to how you direct your mind. After that, at the end of absorption, there is subsidence into the life continuum. Now, at the end of absorption, the explanation given in the manual, page 169, is not so complete. Actually, here at the end of absorption, this phrase is important here. If it was said, after that there is subsidence into the bhavanga, if it is said so, then there can be misunderstanding. Because whatever the thought process is, bhavanga always follows after the first moment of appana. it is taken that way, no phala movements can follow magga, and no jhana and phala movements can follow one after another in the sustained attainment thought processes. So that is why this phrase is put there. So at the end of absorption means at the end of absorption jhavanas. For example, in the magga thought process, there is one magga movement and 2 or 3 phala movements, right? So only after all the appana jhavanas will bhavanga arise. So in order to let us know that, the author put this phrase at the end of absorption. So only after the absorption jhavanas will there be bhavanga, not just after one appana jhavana. If there are 2 appana jhavanas, then after 2 appana jhavanas. If there are 8,000 appana jhavanas, only after 1,000 jhavanas will there be bhavanga moments. And no occurrence of registration status. That is, we do not need to say here, because it is already stated before. There is no arising of the registration consciousness above. So here, life continuum, there is subsidence to life continuum at the end of absorption means there is bhavanga at the end of all appana jhavanas. The non-occurrence of registration has already been stated above. Okay, so in the thought process, which is called samapajjana here, later sustained attainment thought process, there can be thousands and thousands of moments of jhana. Now that is, say, a person first gets jhana. Later on, he wants to get into that jhana again. So in order to get into that jhana again, he practices meditation again. And then, according to his wish, say, he may have a wish that may I be in the jhanas, or may jhana chetas arise again and again for 1 hour, 2 hours, or for a day or 2, something like that. So with that wish in mind, he practices meditation, and then this thought process arises. In this thought process, there are thousands or millions and millions of jhana moments. So this is called later sustained attainment. That is, to enjoy jhana actually. So you first get the jhana, then you want to enjoy it. So if you want to enjoy jhana, because when your mind is in jhana, your mind is very still, calm, and so vitaka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata, right? So you're very happy at that time, peaceful. So you want to enjoy that peacefulness of jhana. So you want to enter into jhana again. In that case, since you want there to be the many moments of jhana moments will be thousands and thousands of them. So here in the attainment thought process, there is vibrating bhavanga, rest bhavanga, and then manodvara vajana. There should always be manodvara vajana, and then parikama, upachara, anuloma, godrabu, and then jhana, and then many moments of jhana. So these 3 dots represent millions and millions of moments, and millions of jhana moments. And then at the appointed time, he emerges from jhana. That means bhavanga moments arise. So he can be in this type of jhana thought process for as long as he wants. if he makes a wish or a resolution that may I be in the jhana thought process for 1 hour, then he will be there for 1 hour, and at the end of 1 hour, the bhavanga will automatically arise, and that is what we call he emerges from jhana. If he make a resolution that may I be in this jhana for 3 days, then he will be in the jhana for 3 days, and at the end of 3 days, automatically the bhavanga will arise. And here also, for average faculty, for people of every faculty and for people of keen faculty, only one thought moment is different. The others are the same. With regard to jhana thought process, there are 2 kinds. The first attainment and later sustained attainment. The first is called adi kamika. Adi means first, kama means work. So who is engaged in first working, a beginner. And sustained attainment is called samapajjana thought process. I think you are familiar with the word samapatti. Samapatti and samapajjana come from the same root. So actually they mean the same thing. So jhana, we can call this jhana samapatti viti. Jhana moments can represent 5 Rupa Vajra Kusala and 4 Arupa Vajra Kusala if it is for a non-Arahant. If it is for an Arahant, 4 Rupa Vajra Kiriya, 5 Rupa Vajra Kiriya and 4 Arupa Vajra Kiriya. And what is the object of this thought process? You go back to Aramana's objects in the 3rd chapter. Go back now. Page 142. So the object of, let us say, the first thought process of appana, jhana thought process, right? So the object of that first jhana thought process, generally you say the object is paññati, right? Concept. But how many kinds of concepts? Look at the chart. Jhana 3. How many kinds of concepts? 25 concepts, right? So 25 kinds of concepts. So the object of this thought process, right? The first one. The object of this thought process is one of these 25 concepts. They are 10 kasina concepts, 10 foulness of the body concepts, and then 1 body concept, that means head, hair, body, hair, nails, teeth, skin, and so on. And then in and out breath concept. And then beings, objects of love, metta, beings, object of karuna, beings, object of mudita, beings, object of ubekha. No, not ubekha, right? Ubekha comes with only 5th jhana. So beings, object of metta, karuna, and mudita. Altogether 25. 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So one of these 25 concepts is the object of this jhana thought process. And the object of the sustained attainment thought process are same. So one of these one of these panyati objects. Want to understand the objects in detail, you go back to this diagram, this table 3.6. Okay, now we come to the end of just jhana thought process, but that is not all. The next passage will teach us what kind of jhana moments will follow what kinds of the kama vajra jhana. Somanasa and somanasa, ubhika and ubhika, kusala and kusala, kriya and kriya. So there is some kind of a shuffle there. So we will find out that next week. So which types of jhana consciousness follow which types of kusala and kama kusala jhana. Especially somanasa and ubhika and kusala and kriya. If you can read, the answer is already there in the book. But I want you to put in the colors in the cards if you can. Let me see. Section 15 and section 15 and 16. In the explanations or the guide, the answer is already given. So I want you to put in the colors in the card. So you will need 2 cards. Like this. Any questions?
Could you shed some light into the thought process?
In the dream?
Related to the dream. Because it seems mysterious. When you're in a dream, something's still going on there.
Yeah. There are dream thought processes also. That was treated by our teachers. But since it is not in the manual, I left them out. So there is, if you are interested, I can give you the diagram of the dream thought process. But one thing to note about dreams is that jhanas in dream thought processes are so weak that they cannot give relinking results. That means they cannot send you to heaven, or they cannot send you to hell. If any at all, they can give results in life only, not at the moment of relinking. Now, when we talk about karma giving results, we must understand 2 things. Those karma that give result as relinking, and those karma that give results during lifetime. So they are different. A karma can give relinking results, or it can give results during life. So a strong karma can give results as relinking. But it is said that the dream jhanas are so weak that they cannot give relinking results. And they are what do you call mind or thought processes. Yes, not here. I left them out. I thought it would be too detailed and some may be confused. But if you want, it's up to you. Actually, there is the question of thought process in the mother's womb. What thought processes can what do you call that? Fetus, right? What can a fetus have? What kind of thought processes? Seeing thought process, hearing. Hearing, yes. Smelling, no. Tasting, yes. And touch, yes. Ah, right. Sometimes I left this out because there are too many things to understand.
Another question is, when you talk about the subsequent thought process from the first one in order to identify certain object, like when you see a man.
Recalling.
Yeah, recall, something like that. But during that first process, we have like a seeing, we have a Chakku Vijnana, then we have a Javana. How can we have all these things and we cannot identify until we need the subsequent thought process in order to identify?
No, the first thought process, the seeing thought process, it just sees an object. It does not see a rose at that moment. It is just the awareness of the object, right? So it cannot decide then and there that it is red, it is blue, or it is rose, or it is something. But what it can decide or what it can know at that moment is just, it is a visible object, something to be seen in general. The second thought process, recalling thought process, has no seeing consciousness. They are pure, not pure, they are the subsequent manodhara thought processes. So there is no seeing there. Just recalling, seeing in the mind, we would say.
But Bante, after the, we have receiving, we have investigating, we have determining.
Yeah.
What are the functions of these thought moments if we cannot identify the object?
Yeah. We can identify the object as a rose or man only when we take the concept. Before we take the concept, what we can determine is just it is a visible object, or it is an audible object, only that. And if it is an audible object, just a sound, and it is not music, it is not voice of a man, or not the sound of a car or something like that, but just a sound, very pure. Something like primitive, right? Yeah.
Like the first thought process among the series of thought process relating to seeing a rose. So this one we see here, when the seeing consciousness arises, it's like the very first among the other which will arise, relating to the fact of seeing the rose.
Yeah, this is the first encounter with the object, and also its experience is just of a visible object, not of a rose at that moment of first thought process.
So the Javana in that thought process, what exactly in that experience, Bante?
Now, it is said that the javanas in the five sense thought process are very weak. Actually, what give results are those that are in the mind or thought processes, following mind or thought processes. because it's very superficial at the first thought process. So although there are jhanas, because we cannot avoid having jhanas, they are so weak that they cannot give results. So I also left out when I talk about this is the moment when you acquire karma and so on, right? Because I don't want to confuse you. Actually, the valid karma, the real strong karma, is accumulated only during the time of Manodvara thought processes. The 5 sense of thought process are said to be very weak. Karma nimitta? You mean
at the moment of death?
it can be.
Can be a sin, can be a
Oh yes.
function.
Yeah. Yes. At the end of 5th chapter, we study that. Through what sense door a karma or karma nimitta or gati nimitta presents.
I was a little confused. As a whole, in other words, you don't have an object form, so I'm not quite.
Now,
What are you seeing?
okay. With the first, what you see is a very small part of, let's say you see a head, right? So first, what you see with the first thought process is a very small part of that head. And then the second type of thought process. And then another part. And then another second thought process. Then another part. And then another thought process. Like that. So we are not able to say how precise one can take with that thought process. But only a small part of the head that you take with each pair of these thought processes. And then after that, after you have seen all these, and you take them all as an object. And then later it becomes a head. But as you see, mind can work so fast that it's almost unconceivable.
Oh, Bante, it's just like the picture on the newspaper. If you enlarge it a lot, you see dots.
You see dots, right?
And then if you view the whole of the dots at the distance, then you see the picture.
Yes. Yeah.
Same sort of.
So if you magnify it, then you see that what you think to be a solid picture is just dots with varying degrees of what go
Gray.
gray. Yes. If you are familiar with printing, there are these lines and blocks are said to have a certain amount of lines, right? That means in 1 square inch there can be, say, 1,000 dots or something like that. Like now in printing they use DPI, right? Yeah. 300 DPI, 600 DPI.
Then you said, I think you said pairs of thought processes. So there's a 5-door process.
5-door thought process, and then recalling
right.
thought process. Just recalling thought process.
And then it goes
And
back
then
to a 5-door.
let's say seeing, right? seeing thought process, recalling thought process. Then seeing thought process, recalling, seeing, recalling, seeing.
So you've seen the whole.
And yes.
Yes.